Jesus Christ. I'm half asleep. I literally slept 2 hours last night. It was an 18-hour flight, 18 hours, 28 minutes from Singapore to Newark. So I slept like 12 hours of that 18 and then came home and napped, which was stupid.
That is the #1 rule. You do not nap.
When you're old, it's like being a baby. You sleep when you can. I literally 18-and-a-half-hour flight. I did not drink a beer on it.
Wow.
I know. And then I get to Newark, and at 6:30 in the morning, I ordered 2 beers. I was that guy.
Welcome to Fairway to Heaven and LIV Golf Podcast. It's me, Su-Ann Heng and Jerry Foltz, talking heads, analyst for our main broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, we do have our very own YouTube page, Fairway to Heaven, as well as all of our links for our social pages, FTH_LIV Golf. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, whatever you want to do. Jerry, how's your jet lag, dude?
Not good. Thanks for not introducing me as Jelly Farts for the very first time. That's really kind.
Well, you're not gonna mix it up a little bit, just kind of.
Yeah. You're on fire. You're on fire this morning. That shit just rolled right off your tongue.
Holy shit! It's my 5th coffee at 7:45.
7:51 a.m. Singapore time. But it was, you know what? Last year when we were in Singapore, I didn't like it. This year, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I don't know why. Yeah.
So you took an 18-hour flight to Newark from Singapore on Singapore Airlines.
Yes.
And you slept for how many of those hours?
12, I think. I was sitting behind Cam, and I think he slept like 16 of the 18. And I was sitting next to his wife,
Chanel.
Dr. Chanel, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore her out talking for about the first 20 minutes till we took off, and then I never saw her again either. So yeah, well, the whole plane did. But it is #1, the nicest airport on the entire face of the earth, the nicest lounge I've ever been in, bar none, and then the nicest seat I've ever had on an airplane. And then, of course, I get to fucking Newark, which is the opposite of all three of those.
I mean, okay, let's go through what are some of the worst American airports? LAX has to be up there in terms of like getting into LAX.
No, it's just awful, period. It's overcrowded. It's not very well laid out. It's inconvenient. It's awful. I hate that one. Pretty much anything up where Balls lives. I don't like any of them because they're all they were built.
Atlanta is the worst airport in the entire world. It has
I don't mind Atlanta. I go through it all the time. I do not mind Atlanta. I've
missed 3 connections in my life at Atlanta alone. Like, I cannot stand it there.
Houston's pretty bad with that. Houston's pretty bad with connections, isn't it? It's always like delayed out of Houston.
Yeah, United's delayed the most. Delta has the best on time record. That's Atlanta, their hub. I've never had a problem with Atlanta. Yeah,
I've never
Detroit,
flown through Atlanta.
Detroit's probably the nicest Delta hub, and Salt Lake City's pretty nice as well. Newark, not really the greatest place, and American has Dallas and Chicago. Chicago's better than the others in the Northeast, but not great.
It's not great. Yeah,
no.
I always like, because now they have huge renovations happening in Chicago. So like sometimes I fly through Chicago, and it is a nightmare. Absolutely. Like for an international person flying into the US, that as my like entering the US airport, it's such a pain. I would say, like, from experience so far, I think the best airport to fly into from an international travel is San Francisco, because I fly on United. So San Fran's great. You know, it's clean, it's quick, they're pretty efficient. Like if I have to put my bag to the next thing, I just lug it out, drop it off. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree with that.
I'm glad you're there safely and back in your man cave.
Back in my converted carport into a man cave. Yes.
People always make fun of me because I always say every time I fly back into Singapore, it is the best feeling in the world because I fly into that airport and the efficiency of just the entire operations is amazing. I mean, mind you, I live 7 minutes from the airport. So by the time I get off the plane back in my home, it's about 35 minutes.
Yeah, that's what time you get through customs in most American airports, if you're lucky.
Speaking of Singapore, let's recap what happened last week in my hometown. Cam Smith Leishman both podiumed, and of course Brooks finding some form heading into the PGA Championship. Really exciting stuff. I mean, I followed him 2 of the 3 days.
Yes.
This is some of the best golf I think I've seen him play.
It was the same golf he played last summer at the PGA, very similar to how he played at the Masters. I made that point. I tried making that point on the air. Is he played aggressive golf with a calculated strategy.
Yeah.
He just wore him out. I mean, he did what we've seen Tiger do so many times, and what Jack Nicklaus made a career of doing, and that is just not beating himself, making them come get him, and they just couldn't do it. If he needed to start taking chances, I'm sure he would have, but he didn't need to, because he was spot on in his ball striking, everything crisp, everything going within 5 or 10 yards of exactly where he aimed, at least on the approach shots. And he didn't really putt great at all the whole week, but he made putts for the first time after getting really frustrated with everything sliding by the hole. It was a clinical display of golf.
It really was. And I mean, he talked a lot about his confidence going into last week. It wasn't great. He was very candid about it. And I'm pretty sure he found something. He found a little confidence, and everyone knows he's dangerous. Last year he won in Orlando and then ended up, coming in second at the Masters?
Yes.
And then going
Yeah.
on to winning the PGA. So
Yeah.
he peaks at the right time, Brooks.
Yes.
I think his putting, like you said, it wasn't like he putted amazing, but he made the putts that mattered. He made a lot of those like 8-10 footers, that kind of got him momentum, whether it's an up and down or a birdie putt that got him ahead, and got a little like confidence going into the round. He made them at the right time, which is always key, isn't it? It's like, you got to make the putts. You just do. You got to make those putts.
Made a couple of, those 40, 50 footers that the guys who are in contention are going to make throughout the course of a tournament, even if it's just 3 days.
What's also impressive about him was his conversion when he hit those fairways, and the amount of conversion into birdies he made through hitting fairways.
I didn't see the final numbers, but the first day, he birdied 2/3 of every fairway he hit.
6 out of 9, I think. 6 out of 9 fairways.
6 out of 9 the first day, and then after 2 days, it was 61%. So basically the same thing. He just took advantage, and those greens are not easy to get it close. They're just big, giant, undulating greens that can, feed the ball the wrong direction so easily.
How about the Ripper boys? Back to back. B to B, baby. The Aussie boys. I mean, remember last season, they really even, I think they had 1 podium last season.
They won once, didn't they?
They won once. Yeah. So back to back. I mean, Cam and Leash are both playing some great golf, and so is Jonesy, and so is Herbie. Herbie didn't have the greatest last round, but this is what's great about 4 scores counting. You can't just be like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be like, okay, I'm 3 over, I'm out of it individually. You can't. You got to grind your way through and try and get to even par, or just get the best round that you have on the day that you don't have your best golf. We saw that in Adelaide too, didn't we? So, the boys, they're playing good, man. They're Leash is playing some really good golf. He's finding some form with the putter. I think, what was it?
Oh my God.
On the second day, it was like 4.39 strokes gain or something on the greens.
4.68 through 2 rounds, 4.68 over the field strokes gain.
Yeah.
Nuts.
I think the Ripper boys were the best in putting, right?
Oh yeah,
they were the worst in driving, but they were the best in putting.
They were the best by far. One of the best things about Singapore Airlines is they give you free internet for the entire 18-hour flight. So I actually looked at, I perused the final stats that we get sent.
Yeah.
And Leishman led by a long shot, and Ripper led as well.
It was really fun. It was hot. It was really hot, Jerry.
It wasn't that bad.
It was, well, you're in the freaking booth the whole time.
I had a blanket
and then by
on
the time,
the whole time.
And it's so cold in the booth that by the time you get to the post show, you're like feeling great because you're thawing out. Whereas like Dom and I have been in the heat all day. Actually, Friday was the hottest. Saturday, by the time we got the rain delay, 4 hours and 45 minutes. It was beautiful. And then Sunday was hot, but we had a breeze, so it wasn't too bad.
I think the difference is that I worked just as hard, and I just didn't whine about it as much in the post show. That's what I think the difference was.
By the way, one of my favorite moments during Singapore on our broadcast is when Arlo had his flyer down.
Oh gosh.
Is that not one of the most entertaining
Oh my
moments?
God. Oh my God. And to boot, because our producer Keith Hirschland's in our ear, because we stand in front of the desk for our on cameras. And it's really kind of cool. And then it's a little bit of a shit show to get back in position and all that. So he excuses us when he cuts to you guys or he cuts the golf, said you won't come back on camera. Go ahead and get behind it. But every once in a while, his voice is cracking up. And he goes, all right, you guys are clear to go behind the desk. And he's laughing and cracking up the whole time. And he goes, Arlo, zip up your fly.
But the best part about it was Arlo then said
Mentioned
it on
it.
air.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm hearing
And that
reports
was
that
just-
my fly was down. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then you just go, and everybody chimed in. Like David
Yeah.
chimed. He just teed us all up to just give
Yeah.
him shit on the
Yeah.
broadcast. And what I love about our team is that we're able to do those things without offending each other. Like we are such brothers and sisters in our group that it just we have so much fun and we go with it. Small issue.
Small issue. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to
To elaborate on that point, I have worked in this industry for, longer, almost as long as you've been alive, Su-Ann. I have worked on a lot of great teams. I've never worked with a team that is so devoid of egos as the team we have. I've worked on some great ones where there really are no personality conflicts. I've never worked with 5 or 6 other, including our pre and post game, 6 other on-air talent, as they say, which reminds me of riding on Dom's cart. But on-air talent people, I've never worked with so many who are so unselfish. I've worked with unselfish broadcasters, but not an entire team of unselfish broadcasters. We're doing it 3 years on now, and it's the
I
same.
know.
The
I
personality
know.
conflicts have not developed. It's
I
just
know.
human nature. We seem to be oblivious to human nature. Maybe it's because we have the greatest jobs in the entire industry, but yes, that has something to do with it.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
other moment was, I don't know if you were there by the time we got to the post show, but you know how every time we get ready for 9 to play, I have to find a spot to set up and get our camera set up, make sure the lighting's right, make sure the
You got to
the
make
balance is right.
sure you got to make sure the
Yeah.
moneymaker looks good. Yes.
What? Fuck the moneymaker. Anyways, so
No comment.
but what happened? But so I was standing there and it's so hot, right? So I'm waiting for us to go to 9 to
Wah.
play.
Wow.
And I start like, how we have that like intro to our halftime show, the pipes and the cue the pipes.
Oh
And,
yeah.
anyways, so that I'm like pretending to just play the violin with my microphone like this. And I guess they were recording it. Anyways, turns up when we did the post game show, friggin' they put it on the broadcast. They put it on the post game
Of
show
course
of
they
me
did. We have fun with it.
playing.
You had great moves too. You look, look at
It's like
that.
as if I
See?
really play the violin, right?
But the
Yeah,
thing
I
was,
know.
we were listening to bagpipes and you're playing a violin.
I know. I'm sure there's violin in there. All right,
I don't
I'm
know
sure
how
there's
you.
violin in
I don't
there.
know how you can airplay a bagpipe. What are they? I don't even know how you play a bag. I just
Don't
listen to
even. You're trying to bait me. I know you so well. You're trying to bait me. So go fuck yourself, Jerry. Now the other thing you got to try in Singapore was Stingray.
Yes.
You tried Stingray
It
in
was
Singapore.
fantastic.
Oh my God, it's so good. It tastes so good. They barbecue it under banana leaf, and it's got a nice thick paste of just like a beautiful concoction of chili and garlic, and it's like this nice. We call it sambal in Asia, and and then they barbecue it, and it's just you never think that will be the texture of a stingray, but it's so good.
No, I'm always leery of things that they put chili and garlic and all that on. I say, oh, it's great. No, the sauce is great. But the actual stingray, even without that, with just a little melted butter on it, would have been tremendous. We went down.
Yeah.
I mean, last year in Singapore, never been to this country that everybody raves about. Everybody raves about going there because it's clean, it's safe, it's organized, it's everything you ever want in life. And I saw an Australian bar called Boomerang one day with Dom on Tuesday, and the golf course in the hotel for an entire week. So this year I'm like, let's go see authentic authentic Singapore. So she took us down. It was a little bit touristy, but still had that authenticity to it where you took us, the kind of, and
La
it's where
Passat, yeah.
yeah, that's it. And it was phenomenal. And Su-Ann just keeps coming back to this table. It's all outdoor dining, community tables, no big deal. Everybody's your friend. And just, I mean, plate after plate after plate after plate. And there were 5 of us, and my favorite, Casey, some of them all, your son Casey.
Casey, yeah.
Yeah, he's so cool. But we just had so much fun. It was just fantastic. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
I am my
And
father's child. It will always be an overflowing amounts of food when I entertain people. It's part of our family. It's how we show love. It's our love language, Jerry. in
Yeah, but you
Asia.
also have the genes where you're never going to gain an ounce, and those of us without those genes end up rolling out of there like a spare tire.
There's some of us that would run 4K, and there's some of us that would just sit on our couch and watch TV. So
Yeah, but
that
one
helps,
of
you
you,
know.
one of us will
Exercising
get,
helps.
one of us will get injured, and one of us won't. You didn't tease our guests.
I didn't, but you can now. That's your job.
Okay.
Come
Well,
on, you got this. Let's see how smooth you are.
We thought it was important to get a little independent voice after the surprise announcement by the PGA of America offering exemptions to even more LIV Golf players who hadn't qualified under their current existing structure. And Jeff Bullock from TUGR, the Ultimate Golf Ranking, is going to join us and give us a little perspective on that. He, his brother, and his dad came up with the idea to start a golf ranking that's actually fair to everybody in the world based on whatever tournaments they play, against whom they play, and do it for fun. And there are 3 very successful people in the financial space that really didn't need a new hobby like this, especially a time-consuming one. And they came up with a formula. I personally think it's the best of all the alternative ranking systems out there. That's open for debate. But nonetheless, he was kind enough to give us some of his time. So Jeff, where are you?
What's up, Jeff? Good morning from Singapore.
Good morning. It's good evening from Colorado.
It looks very sunny on the golf course behind you.
Yeah. That's we got Castle Pines behind us. So if you know, they used to hold a PGA Tour event there, the International, which was a stable for a tournament.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining us. I gave a brief description of how TUGR came into existence. If you want to go ahead and give us the 30,000-foot overview in 30 seconds.
Yeah, quick overview. Thanks for having me on. So we are a golf rankings and analytics company. We came about in 2022, sort of when OWGR started changing their formula and didn't feel like they were capturing the whole golf universe in an accurate way. And we felt like we were a solution that could step in and help. So we launched our professional rankings, and that sort of ran us through 2023. And recently we launched in the junior space as well. So we cover both the professional space, we cover the junior space, and we do rankings and analytics in what we like to say an unbiased, all-inclusive, and accurate way, because at TUGR, we don't see tours, we see players. So it's a completely unbiased way to go about ranking golfers.
Yeah, the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly. The way it should be. That's you say we are a data and or a rankings and analytics company. This is a part-time job for you guys. You guys have real careers too.
We do have real jobs. So this is a part-time job right now, but it is quickly growing, which is really fun. So lot of growth and a lot of opportunities. And so we see 24 as a really fun year to see where we can take this.
I guess for the sake of our, sorry, Jerry, for the sake of our listeners, maybe you can give us a quick, in a nutshell, how you guys are different from OWGR and how you actually do those numbers, just for people who maybe might not understand how rankings work, and just kind of explain that for us.
Yeah. So 30,000-foot view, there's sort of 3 ways you can go about ranking golfers. There's a points-based approach, which is what OWGR is. They assign points based on finish place. There are multi-factor ranking systems out there. And then we are on the other side of the spectrum. We're a performance-based system. So it's based on head-to-head relative scores. And so we have this big matrix inside our computer that matches the head-to-head scores of every golfer against every other golfer that they play. and then we can stack rank them based on that performance. And so it just ends up being a more pure output because it's based on performance, not based on a made-up point system that someone created, and then they have to figure out weightings that may or may not be accurate.
The way I try and explain it to people is everybody else who's come into the space to try and at least fairly rank golfers regardless of where they play and not be beholden to basically the PGA Tour, which the OWGR has been for the longest time. Every time they change the rules, it only benefits the PGA Tour side of things, to the point now where you can't qualify for majors if you don't play on the PGA Tour, if you weren't already up there in the world rankings. Yours is more of what I call a worldwide handicapping system. There's no subjectivity to it. There's no weighting for, or, you know, given more points for the tournament, for the quality of the field, because you are ranking me against you and you against Su-Ann and me against Su-Ann. You do that through the cloud a gazillion times. It becomes a worldwide handicapping system. Is that fairly simplistic way to put it?
It's a simplistic way to put it, and it's a more accurate way. So we actually did an analysis in the junior space. And what was interesting is the top 1,000 junior boy golfers, they all have handicaps in that +2 to +3 range. So they're very, very stacked. But when you look at the TUGR rankings, we can show that there's anywhere from a 4 to 6 stroke difference between the top 100 players and the top 1,000 players, just because of the way the handicap formula works. And this is just a more pure output. So simplistically, yes, is what you said, but it actually drills it down and it becomes even more pure. And so when you look at our rankings, the #1 golfer in the world is always benchmarked at 0. And then the number you see next to it is just how many strokes per round more does that player shoot compared to the best player in the world.
It's really cool. Have you looked at it at all,
Yeah.
Su-Ann? Have you looked at the rankings? Have you browsed through them?
I saw, yeah, the one that you sent. It is really, really interesting. I mean, there's some that I really like. They match the OWGR, like your Rahms, your Koepkas. But then there's some that the discrepancy is so big. I mean, Dean Burmester on the OWGR, he's 130th in the world. On TUGR, he's 30th, which to me, just watching him play, obviously this season, but also then him winning twice in the off season, really truly reflects how good of a player he is. There's no question he's a top 50 player in the world.
Yeah, the thing that's great, what I love, you can click into any player on the site and get some advanced analytics. Dean's a great case study, and I love Dean because he plays everywhere, right? I think one of the misnomers that we try and educate people on is that there's a false or a misunderstanding that LIV golfers don't play anywhere else, right? And that's just factually inaccurate, right? So Dean's a great example. He's played over the last 12 to 18 months, he's played against over almost 800 different competitors across all the tournaments that he's entered in. And the PGA Tour average is about 450. So he's played almost double the number of competitors in the same 18-month period as the average PGA Tour player. And that just strengthens the output because he has more relative connections to the whole golfing world.
One guy who doesn't play a lot outside of LIV is number OWGR 644 in the world. TUGR, I think a far more accurate ranking of 16. Of course, that's the guy we all heard about yesterday, our time, Jeff, that kind of raised a lot of eyebrows as something that might be perceived as monumental in the game. That's Talor Gooch getting a special invite to the PGA Championship. From your perspective, because you're a much more independent voice than we are, because we work for LIV and we're fans of LIV and we love the product, we love the business model, we love everything about it. We think all our players should be ranked the top 54 in the world, for crying out loud. That's how biased we are. You're an independent voice. What message do you think that sends to the golf space and to the OWGR?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I posted this on X yesterday. To me, it was a monumental exemption that was given out because even at the Masters and even with the exemptions given to Niemann and Puig, you could justify that was because of their play outside of LIV. And really that was talked up a lot. Oh, he did this, oh, he did that, and that's what got him there. I mean, there's really nothing you can point to with Talor except that he was the best player on LIV last year, right? And he won 3 times, is that correct? And that was his play. So if you're it was obviously he obviously didn't get his exemption based off of his OWGR ranking, right? That would make no sense. And he probably doesn't play enough outside of LIV to point to certain tournaments. And so it was clearly a nod to his play on LIV. Interestingly enough, he still plays a fair amount. He played in majors last year. He played in some tournaments. I'm looking at his analytics right now. He's played over 470 different competitors over the last 18 months. He's right there on par with the number of competitors who he's played against as the average PGA Tour player. So it's not like he hasn't played anyone, and the numbers stack up.
It's so fascinating to me hearing your perspective because, so many people on X, as I'm sure you've experienced, just have very uninformed opinions
You
about
think?
about rankings. And Taylor's been, even this season, he's playing some phenomenal golf. And he's up against a pretty stacked field on LIV. So as Jerry said, we're biased and we think that all of our players are amazing. But Taylor, for one, to win 3 last season with that field is incredible. And we always say he deserves to be in the majors. Always. He's one of the guys that are the most, I guess, controversial, I think, when it comes to the major championships.
Yep. Yeah, and I said this earlier in my intro, but that's why I love our approach, because we don't see tours, right? We just see players. And so we are tour agnostic. We are looking through, and sometimes people ask us if Scotty Scheffler, #1 player in the world, I think that's pretty undisputed right now. If he decided he wanted to play on the Asian Tour or the Challenge Tour for the rest of his life, if that's just where he chose to play his golf, could he still be the #1 golfer via our ranking systems? And the answer is yeah. If he goes out and he's winning every tournament by 4 or 5 shots and he's showing that relative strength, you could. Could you be the #1 golfer in OWGR if you chose to play your golf on the Challenge Tour?
Hell no.
You couldn't, because the point system wouldn't allow you to do that. And so, but that, like, the system shouldn't do that. If someone chooses, and that's what we've talked about with LIV throughout the course of the few years, is people can take their services wherever they want. And if they choose to go play somewhere else, that shouldn't punish them from a rankings perspective. We should, in the 21st century, be smart enough to figure out how to rank golfers throughout the world.
Where do you see the future of all this, in terms of rankings?
That's a great question. I see the OWGR as one of the governing bodies, right? I posted about this yesterday. To me, what the PGA Championship did is monumental, because it just showed, I don't know if you call it a crack in the system or them breaking off. To me, the PGA Championship has always been viewed as sort of the 4th of the 4 majors. So they have everything to gain by making sure that their field is awesome and is the best. And so them doing this is a huge step forward in making sure. And I actually saw a video today that Mike Wan, the CEO of the USGA, he said that if there is no merger, he sees a situation where the USGA creates LIV exemptions for the US Open. And I think that hit the airways today. So I think people are coming around to it. Now, what happens with the greater rankings, right? We're equally as interested in, LIV being fairly ranked as we are all golfers being fairly ranked, whether that's the Japanese Tour or the Asian Tour or everything. We hope that we can be an influence in some way, shape, or form.
The OWGR, to me, is extinct. It's absolutely extinct. Those who have tried to improve on basically the same formula are a lot more in step with what even the experts, so-called experts, and the casual viewer would think is a fairly accurate type ranking. You guys, to me, have the most unbiased ranking of them all, and it's my favorite. The PGA Championship has always boasted the best field of all the majors. Now, it was the Players Championship that had the best field in golf, and that was unequivocal forever, right, until the last couple of years, when there are guys who I thought had retired were getting in, and guys who were on medical extensions are getting into the damn Players. Guys I didn't know were still playing golf were playing, and I saw them on TV. The PGA Championship still has now it has the best field in the entire world, and I think they proved it here. And I think they proved it by not relying on the OWGR, though they still invited guys based on their current top 100 OWGR guys like Lucas Herbert and Puig as well. I think you're not going to be able to rely on the argument that we have the strongest field in the world when you invite the OWGR number 644 out of nowhere. He's not the 644th greatest golfer in the world. My point is, I just don't know when the other majors are going to catch on, because I honestly think that the USGA and the RNA need the PGA Tour to prevent the absolute shit show that's going to happen when they roll back the ball. If the PGA Tour players revolt, which they've given every indication they're going to, then basically there's going to be 3 golf tournaments played around the globe each and every year where they use a soft golf ball, and the rest are going to be playing a modern golf ball. That's going to be the Masters, the US Open, and the Open Championship. So I think they're going to be a little slower to actually come to life with the irrelevancy of the OWGR, because the PGA Tour needs that bargaining chip in order to, number one, keep leverage over the LIV players and over their players from leaving, but number two, to be able to guarantee their disgruntled broadcast partners in the United States, who are overpaying for a product that's being underdelivered, but technically they fall in line with the fine print in the contract from a strength of field standpoint. Do you think that the invitation of the players from PGA to, including Gooch, especially Gooch, will expedite that whole conversation?
I mean, I hope it does, because again, we're trying to, I mean, I don't know if I'm a casual fan. I'm probably way more than a casual fan. I tune into everything, right?
Way more,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm way more
Shit
than a
ton more.
casual fan. But I always try and think of it from the casual fan's point of view, or the marginal fan's point of view, right? Because if the casual or marginal fan who's trying to figure out, do I want to watch this on Saturday or Sunday, or do I not, right? What's going to drive that is if it's compelling, if it's the best players in there, if it's created the environment that goes. And to me, that's what's going to drive the ratings, right? I mean, I think if anything, I tweeted about this yesterday. If anything, from just a pure game theory standpoint, if you strip out all the politics, all the everything, what the PGA Championship did from a pure game theory standpoint is genius, because now they've riled up all the LIV fans, being like, yes, we got the people in, and I know you want more, but at least they did more than I think people expected, right? And so now there's intrigue and there's anticipation of how are they going to do. And even I always call them PGA Tour only fans, right? The ones who are just the diehard PGA Tour fans, they're going to be tuning in because they don't want LIV players to play well, right? Just because of their loyalties. And so from a pure game theory standpoint, it was a genius move, right? Now, the Masters is harder because they just have such a small field, right? About 90 players. And when you actually look at all the exemptions, there's very few spots that they can just hand out. And I think when they get up to 95, 96 players, it's really hard to actually finish in the whole day because of the light. So I think they will be, just from a pure constraint standpoint, a difficult tournament to hand out a lot of invites. But the 2 opens are wide open, right? I mean, in theory, that would be the next move. And if you see the PGA gain a lot of traction because of this, I mean, again, just from a game theory standpoint, you're running a business. You got to make the smart business moves. You'd think.
It'll be really interesting to see what happens after the PGA Championship, and if that would change, the US Open or the Open Championship in the next few months. I don't know if it will this year, but maybe next year.
It's a long play, right? But I don't know. To me, it was call it what you want, an olive branch, a game theory move. I thought it was a genius move on there, and
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, regardless of what side of the fence you fall on, I was. And from just a pure analytical ranking standpoint, I was happy to see that they were inviting players that we felt were deserving, right?
Let me ask you a question about, we had him on our podcast, Louis Oosthuizen. We're not sitting here saying he should be at the Masters. I'm kind of curious from your standpoint in terms of numbers and your ratings. where do you see Louis? Because he won twice in the off season. He's played fantastic this season. Give me your opinion about that.
I mean, outside the fact that he's probably got one of the purest swings in golf, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, it's I mean, I love watching Louis. We have him at number 46. We have him as a top 50 player in the world based on his play. Again, not just within LIV, but outside LIV. Again, he's one of those players that's played over 600 different competitors over the last 18 months, well above the PGA Tour average. He gets around, he plays, and I keep coming back to that because the more competitors you play, think of it like a satellite system, right? The more competitors you play, the more points of reference you have on where you should be ranked, and it just makes it more accurate. And I mean, you know, it sounds like I can't confirm it, but it sounds like on Twitter they were saying that he was extended an invite to the PGA, but has a conflict, right? So that was nice to see that because he was more than deserving to get one for next week. And you know, maybe the PGA should have handed out invites a month ago and not the week before, right? If there was one criticism you could point out, it was probably that, right?
There were two theories. I didn't believe a lot of people tweeting that he turned down an invite, but then I saw it from Doug Ferguson, one of 3 or 4 last remaining true journalists, even though he does occasionally throw a little opinion in, it's usually in good spirit. Doug's a true journalist in golf. I put Rex Hoggard and Todd Lewis and maybe 1 or 2 others in there, Corrigan from the UK. So Doug, if Doug said it, it's true. And then the part I love, the LIV fan accounts, they're not LIV bots. None of them are paid by LIV. They just happen to actually enjoy the product the way we do. They said that they had heard, I love this speculation because it's 100% speculation, that if he took the exemption, Burmester wouldn't have gotten one. So he turned it down so that Dean could play. Yeah, that actually warms my heart. And you know what? Of all the people, I wouldn't put that past him one bit.
Yeah.
Now the question I have, you guys haven't gotten into the betting space yet, so I'm going to put you in the handicapping here because we have a viewer poll question for Su-Ann and I tonight. Who would you pick over the 2 players to win the PGA, Jon Rahm or Brooks Koepka?
So
Oh, see, you've done work on this.
No, we haven't done work on this. We are not in the betting space. What I was going to say is that we've shown that our rankings are highly predictive. That's just by the mere fact that, and that's one of the things that we say is that, you know, accurate rankings by definition should be predictive, right? Brooks Koepka is the hardest golfer to rank because he openly says he greatly cares about the majors and he uses all the other tournaments to prepare for them, right? So him finishing almost last in Miami hurts his ranking, but like that doesn't really matter to him, right? And so I always say that Koepka is a top 5 major favorite at any major he goes to, regardless of where he is in the rankings, right? And Rahm today, we have him at 5th, right, in our rankings. So like flip a coin flip, but if I'm going to flip a coin flip, and I'm not going to say this just because I'm on your show, he is the defending champion and he's won 3 PGAs, is that right? It's 2 US Opens and 3 PGAs. I mean, there's obviously something with the style of a PGA Championship that he loves, and it's hard to bet against him, especially coming off of what he did last week.
No, you know what's crazy? He won back-to-back US Opens, back-to-back PGAs. And those courses traditionally are really tough and demanding golf courses. And he seems to just rise to the occasion when that's the case. When the golf courses are harder, he just seemed to just bring his A game.
Yeah. I was just saying, great form last week, right? I mean, that was clear to everyone, right? So you see what he did, and he's the defending champ, and so he'd be hard to bet against.
If he wins next week, he will have successfully defended 3 times. All 6 major championships will have come back-to-back years in the same major, which is, now that's a record I don't think even Tiger has, or Jack. So that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiger had a back-to-back Masters, right? But that was that.
He's had back-to-back. He's had a back-to-back a lot of things, including majors. But yes, he's had a back-to-back surgeries.
Now, Brooks is. I love getting into debates. Well, I used to love it. Now I just say, look, you know, Brooks is an anomaly just in life and in golf. And anytime he shows it at a tournament that he really cares about, he's got to be a top 5, probably top 3 favorite. Like that's just the way it is. I don't care where he's ranked on any ranking system.
he's not only the toughest guy to rank, he's also one of the toughest guys to interview. Su-Ann did 2 incredible interviews with him last week, and Dom did a nice one as well on Sunday. So, yeah, he's an enigma in all sorts of ways, but I think he's smarter than most, put it that way. As are you, Jeff. Listen, we can't thank you enough for your time. We really, really appreciate it. And I just got I don't know one thing. You, your brother, and your dad started this together as a hobby, a labor of love, a passion.
Yep.
How'd you become the front man? Did they vote you front man?
As I joke, I don't have any marketable skills, so I'm the guy who became the front man, right? I mean, we've got the website guy, we've got the data guy, we've got the relationship guy, and so last year I was probably on 10 or 12 podcasts last year as we started picking up steam, and I think it was like, hey Jeff, you go do the first one, and then like, hey, good job, go do the next one, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So I can talk to everything, I can go in depth and go down any rabbit hole you want, but I'm not the guy who's behind the screen computing it, right?
Yeah.
You're a
Gotcha.
diplomat.
I'm the diplomat trying to work the relationships on all sides. But seriously, but as we've said, I mean, we're pro golf is what we are, right? I mean, whatever the golf landscape is, we're going to rank it, right? And I've always joked, I said, well, what if another country came in and decided to fund another tour, and there were 50 guys that went and did that? We would rank them too, right? Like our job is to rank golfers and hopefully spit out really interesting talking points and data that the golf community can talk about and debate. And it's been fun. It's been a wild ride. It's been a fun ride, and it's been awesome. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Jerry and I are huge fans, and I think you do such an amazing job. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing all those insights. And hopefully our viewers and listeners will, gain a little something or two from this conversation. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
That was fascinating.
That was cool. That was interesting. Because I feel like there are a lot of these like rankings out there, but nobody actually knows what goes into any of them, right? Like to actually hear what goes in, what's the difference between rounds with points and strength of field and cut versus no, like, I mean, there are 3 different rankings other than OWGR out there. But again, like nobody actually takes the time to read how they're calculating these points. So it's cool to hear somebody describe.
They're all using the same system and just putting different subjective weightings on field. When you start deducting points based on time, the only subjective part of TUGR is how long the rankings go for. They weight them a certain level for 12 months and then a certain level for 18 months. And that's it. That's the only thing. And like he said, if I play 1 round of golf against Su-Ann and I shoot 78 and she shoots 76, she plays another tournament against 140 players. They've got enough data to tell you I really, really suck. I mean, it's nuts. So 20 tournaments for them, 20 rounds of golf. When his brother, who's the number cruncher guy, when he explains to you how 20 rounds of golf is enough for any human being in the world to run through it's all cloud-based computing, run through the cloud, and they tell me exactly how many strokes Scotty Scheffler is going to beat me by any given day. It's amazing. Jon Rahm's 1.26 shots behind Scotty Scheffler per round. That's nuts.
It's basically the handicap system, right? That's the
it's
handicap system.
It's
is 20
exactly
rounds. It's 20 rounds. That's how you have your handicap created. We're all playing by that rule every single week. So why don't we just weigh the pros on a rule we already understand? It makes a lot of sense.
But this isn't course rating and par and what have you, or slope rating. This is head to head. That's your handicap. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love what he said, though. He just says we rank based on performance, not on tours. I feel like that is the most accurate way to rank somebody. I mean, everyone else it doesn't matter where you're playing. If you're playing competitive golf against a strong field, whether it's a signature event or whether it's a LIV event or whether it's major championships, that's how you should be ranked. It's based on your performance. It's based on how you're playing that season. And I think I don't know, this could be a long shot, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, moving forward with the majors. But if you think about every other sport, right? Basketball, baseball, NFL, how do they pick the MVP? Performance. Purely performance. How many goals, how many how many points they score throughout the year and the season, how many blocks, how many, that's how they determine who is the best defender, who's the best scorer of your sport, is based on performance. It doesn't matter where they play. It doesn't matter if you play Bundesliga. It doesn't matter if you play Premier League. It doesn't matter if you play La Liga.
It's also one of those things where you can't always choose who you're competing against. Like, obviously in the LIV Golf format, and like people who've chosen to be on LIV Golf, sure, but in the general sense of the other tours, you don't get to decide who you're playing against. Like, that's just who you're playing against. So you can't really be measured that way. You can only beat the course and the players you're playing against. That's all there is to it in sport.
All right, let's talk about the PGA Championship. We've got a few of our players that have been invited, extended an invite. Obviously, Dean Burmester, Talor, David Puig, Reed,
yes,
Patrick Reed, Adrian Meronk, Lucas Herbert, all in the PGA Championship. I am. This is fascinating. We talked about it with Jeff. Actually, how did Adrian Meronk not get into the PGA being Player of the Year on the DP World Tour? Anyways, other golfers already there. Obviously, defending champion Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Jon Rahm, Martin Keimer's in there, DJ, Bryson, Cam Smith, Andy Ogletree got in through the International Series. Tyrrell Hatton, Joaquin Niemann also in there, got an invite early on this year. We have a few players playing in it, which is awesome. I can't
16.
wait. And 16, exactly.
16,
now, speaking of which, we ask all of our, it says here that fans, I don't know if we classify them as fans. Our listeners, we ask our listeners who has a better chance at the PGA Championship, Jon Rahm or Brooks Koepka. Obviously, Brooks just won in Singapore. Jon Rahm, he has not finished outside the top 10 in the last 7 events on LIV. Obviously, Masters champ, he's top 5 in the world. So I want your take on this first, Jerry, before I go into what our listeners / fans responses were.
In the PGA Championship, based on our results in Singapore, we have number 1 winner, Brooks Koepka. We have number 2, tied number 2, Cam Smith. We have number 4, Talor Gooch. He finished 4th. Tyrrell Hatton finished 5th. Dustin Johnson finished 7th. Joaquin Niemann finished 7th. Adrian Meronk finished 10th. And Jon Rahm finished 10th. We have a guy who finished first. You asked me a question between a guy who finished first, his best finish of the year, and a guy who finished 10th, his worst finish of the year. To me, it's plain as day that the hardest guy in the world, according to Jeff Bullock, to ever rank, Brooks Koepka, would be the favorite based on that. But Jon Rahm is the guy I think is going to win. Jon Rahm joined LIV. It rocked the entire universe. He went into the Masters as a defending champion with validation to prove, and he was playing pretty well, not great, but pretty well going in. But that is a huge burden to carry. He doesn't have that anymore. He doesn't have to do that anymore. He's going in as one of 16 guys who represent LIV, but one of a very limited number of people with multiple majors on their resume in the prime of their career. And he is an alpha male who wants it so badly. The problem is with my prediction that Rahm's going to win, or Rahm's going to be the highest finishing LIV player, is that Brooks Koepka is the exact same fucking guy. He wants to be king of the hill. He does it quietly, but he wants to be the guy that everybody else has to say, has to say, sir. Put it that way.
Well, you can't pick both, Jared. That's not how this works. So I'm going to
Rahm.
go with.
I'm going to go. Rahm.
I'm going to go with Brooks. I'm going to go with Brooks just because of the way I've seen him play in the last week. I got to watch 2 out of 3 rounds. And man, is he looking solid. He is looking real solid. He's driving the ball phenomenal, which is kind of what you need to do at the PGA. But he's also finding a little confidence with the flat stick. So as we know, once you have that door open for Brooks in that sense, if he finds momentum, if he finds a little confidence, which is all he needs, he's going to be a threat, I think. So you're going to go with Jon. I'm going to go with Brooks. Let's see what our fans, an overwhelming believe in Brooks. Dan Wilson on the X, Brooks wins in a playoff that goes for 10 holes.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Oh yeah.
I don't know how to this at RT Chi 58. Jon just doesn't seem to be firing on all cylinders right now, but golf is fickle and could change. Brooks looks dialed. So I agree. Brian, I don't know how to say his last name, Patak.
Yeah, Patek.
On the Axis, per Vegas odds, they're both plus 1,400. I would take BK.
Yeah.
And JD White 96 on X. Brooks is playing better right now, but you can never count out Rahm with as much talent as he has.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, it's like you're picking two of probably some of the best players, if not the best players in the world right now. So it is tough to pick one. But yes, overwhelming love for Brooks on the X. Thank you so much for chiming in and interacting with us. Appreciate you. All right. Speaking of social media, let's head on to Instagram.
You're so good at this, by the way. You are so fucking good at this.
Thank you. Listener questions from social media. There you go. I like that. That's so much better. All right. John_Fink on Instagram. He says there was a report about LIV possibly buying home courses for teams. If this does happen, how does it change the landscape of LIV? Scotty King on the X also chimed in and said, how will the new topic of LIV buying up courses around the world for each team work? Do you think it's doable? And is the marketing strategy going to be like a pro sport team for sponsors?
I think the big long-term picture, and they're optimistic, they're aggressive, but I think they're going to come to fruition because of my belief in the product, is that these teams, I know they don't like us using the word franchises, these clubs will develop their identities in their home base. They will develop these golf courses, whether it be an existing course that becomes purchased by the team or building a course, and those will become their home facilities, their home fields. And if 20 years down the road, there's going to be a point where maybe all 14 events are played at these courses, and every team will have a home event. You'll have people be able to come there to experience the course, to experience the top golf type thing, to have a little taste of LIV, to get the best instruction in the world, to see the guys when they're home practicing, and just to play golf. It's a home field. It's just like a training site for any professional sports league. It's exactly what it is. And
I was just about to say, it's kind of like, it's like football, right? You have the FCs and they have their own stadiums, they have their own training grounds, and people come and they play home games, away games. And then you have fans that are a bit more biased towards that team. Let's say there's one in Dallas, where the Crushers are. It's going to be very pro Crushers. And then if you have a rivalry between the Ripper Boys or something, and they'll be like kind of, it'll be similar to what we had in Adelaide in the sense of like South Africa versus Australia type dynamic. That would be kind of cool. And then obviously, I think the long-term plan too, I'm sure if it ever was a thing, is that these teams can have their academies there. They can have, the possibilities are endless. I think if that were to be the case. All right, moving forward. Boodby on Instagram.
Would be or
we've
not
played
would
120. Would be
or not would be.
He or she says we've played 126 different holes so far this season. What has been your favorite and most memorable one, and why? Another one from him or her: with the trade window open, who would you pick as your dream team? What would you name your team? That's a good one, actually.
Your turn to answer first. Most memorable hole.
Wow. I have to say 18th in Adelaide.
Really?
Yeah, 18th in Adelaide on that playoff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's the playoff and the dynamic and the experience and and just the crowd and the weather and the moment, like all of it. It's not just the actual hole itself. I mean, it's a good golf hole, but I'm talking about everything that came with it. Right. Yeah. So the South Africa versus Australia, we had just thousands and thousands of people. And I had the privilege to be inside the ropes on that afternoon. And it was just, it is my highlight of being a small little part of LIV in the last 2.5 seasons.
You're a huge part of it. How many selfies and autographs when you were in Adelaide in your 3 days walking the course?
I don't know.
No, those are actual fans, by the way. Those aren't listeners. Those are fans.
While I'm on, I want to say that.
How many?
I don't know. I don't know. I was asked to sign a shoe and a cell phone.
Nice.
That's you know, it was so weird because I was walking and like all these people were like, Su-Ann, sign this. And I'm like, God, you realize I'm not playing in this, right? Like the players are behind me. You can wait for the players. They're behind me. They're behind me. And I kept going like, no, I mean this. Well, why are you asking me to sign it? Anyways, it was such a great experience. And thank you to everyone who came up to say hi to both of us, as well as Dom and everyone else in our broadcast team. We loved you guys in Australia.
I signed two autographs. One was to check into the hotel and one was to check out. Who would my favorite hole is the party hole. That to me answered itself.
Oh,
that's where I belong. That's where I belong. 12th hole.
Yeah.
But who would be
your dream team?
You first. I answered first last time. You're first. Your dream team.
I would go Joaquin.
Yeah.
Brooks.
Yeah.
Cam.
Yeah.
And probably DJ.
Ah. I like that.
Yeah.
I see. I didn't take the question
and
that
they
way.
will be called Goliath.
Goliath. You've actually thought about that's actually impressive. I didn't read the question that way. I was going to answer it like Jim Thorpe did when Golf Channel was riding around in a taped interview asking him who his dream foursome would be. You know, guys are saying Gandhi, Arnold Palmer, Jack. And Jim Thorpe, who's one of the funniest men I know, says, I think I told you this before. He says, let's go Halle Berry, Whitney Houston, and fuck it, we'll just make it a threesome. And I don't know what that team would be called. No, yeah, Jim Thorpe. He's still with us. Thank God. He's a classic. My dream team would be Terrell Hatton, just for the sheer entertainment of hanging with him. Phil Mickelson, because I always feel smarter when I'm with him. And then I can't say my absolute favorite player because they're all my favorites, but the guy I've really latched on to the message, or not the message, just kind of the phenomena of who he is and what he's accomplishing and maturing at 48 years old to play his best golf, and that's Dickie B. Yeah.
Oh yes, Dickie B. Which, by the way, he might be our next guest.
He might be our next guest, Dickie B.
So I just think
he's becoming a little bit of a folk hero out there in our
Blandemonium, baby.
Universe. That would be the name of the team. Blandemonium.
Blandemonium. Yeah. By the way, we do have Dickie B on for next week. So if you think of any questions you'd like to ask him, hit us up on FTH_LIV Golf. Let us know what you want to ask Dickie B and we'll pick some of the best. Okay. Make sure they're good. Make them meaningful, as my boss always tells me.
Who's your boss?
All right, let's go. Mr. Watson. Okay. Jack Thompson on Twitter. Who would you like to see join the Four Aces to make them competitive again as they started the inaugural season so dominant? They were the dynasty to beat, weren't they, in 2022? That's a very difficult question to ask us, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, the other teams hadn't even taken shape yet when they were dominant. And I don't think you need to change. You got four great players on that team. I don't think you need to change a soul. They just need to play better. I mean, Patrick Reed's had his worst season in 3 seasons thus far, although still not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, well below his standards. Harold Bardner has not delivered for them. But you never know with Harold. He's a streaky player. He could go win the next 2 events and nobody would blink an eye. He's that damn good. And Pat Perez has, he's been Mr. Clutch on Sunday until this year, and he hasn't quite delivered. DJ's played solid, but he hasn't played dominant like he was the first year. DJ was our first individual league champion. They just haven't played that well together. I don't know if a move is necessary there, but if there is a move, I don't know who you would move out. He's not going to move Pat. He's not going to move Pat Perez. That's his buddy. I mean, that's his absolute buddy.
Yeah.
I don't think he.
I don't think he'll move Reed. I mean,
don't think
he's
he'll move
way too
Reed.
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know where you move Varner. I'm sure everybody would want him, but who are you going to get for him? Are you going to get another player that quality? Who would
I
you
mean,
get for him?
this mid-season trade window is going to make things so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like drama in the Big Brother house. Like, who's gonna go? Who's not happy? I mean, to be honest, like even being on site, you can't tell. You can never tell who's unhappy, who's happy, who wants to get traded. So we have no idea who is going to be traded, who's not happy. So it'll be really interesting. It'll come as a surprise for us as it will be for you, should there be any trades.
It's amazing how many kind of tidbits and rumors you can hear standing around the luggage carousel in Newark, New Jersey, absolutely sleep deprived, with a dozen or so players, a dozen or so caddies, a couple of dozen team organization members of some of those potential disgruntled captains or disgruntled players. I got an earful yesterday and I loved it, and I can't say a word about it because you can't do that.
It's all right. I'll text you after. Okay. I love this one. Walker.magnum. What a great name on Instagram. Who is the worst coworker to spend a rain delay with, and why is it Dom? I don't know why he said that. That's exactly what it reads.
All right, you go. You go.
I don't know. I can't think of anyone. I would love to be stuck in a rain delay with any of you.
No.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
No.
I do.
My answer is easy. It's Evil Kristen, hands down.
We love you, Mosier. We love you.
We have Sweet Kristen and Evil Kristen. They basically keep all of us in line. And Evil Kristen never waves at me with more than one finger.
I love the way she greets me, though. I can't say it on air. Okay, let's wrap this thing up with a segment I like to call "How Well Do You Know Your Co-Host?"
Oh, this is easy. Who's gonna win? Keep score, balls. Keep score.
We've done this now for since the off season. So let's say 5-6 months, right?
Yeah. Maybe
we kind of haven't really done fun stuff, just you and I. We always do the fun stuff with our guests. So I figured we switched things up for this episode. So yes, how well do you know your co-host? We've got 5 questions. Person with the most points win. Now you have to be genuine and authentic about your reply. Okay, you can't fuck around. Like you can't just.
Well, obviously you don't know me that well, and I win.
No, I know you better than you know me. Okay, here we go.
Bullshit.
Favorite food? You go first, Foltzy.
Your favorite food?
Yeah.
Chicken and rice.
No.
Are you fucking kidding me? You say that all the time. It's my favorite thing ever.
No.
We walk by the restaurant, you said it's my favorite thing ever. That's ramen.
Sushi. A-hole.
For fuck's sake. Okay.
Yours is Frickles.
No.
Chicken wings.
No.
Hamburger. Oh, pizza.
There you go.
Pizza.
Give the girl a cigar. If you were stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life, you can only have one food. What would it be? Yours would be sushi?
Yes.
Mine would be pizza.
100%. Yeah, pizza. Okay.
Karen's out of town. I will eat that every single meal between now and next Monday.
I had to put a easy one in there, just because it's a place that we spend a lot of time together at. Drink orders at the bar.
See, this one's a no-brainer for you. I drink beer, you know it. I don't drink anything else.
Well, specifically light beers. It has to be a lager. Can't be an IPA. Can't be anything. But occasionally you'll have a little glass of wine, a little bit of bourbon. But
my favorite
most
beer.
of the time, It's
My
a lager
favorite beer of them all.
Coors
No.
Light,
Miller Lite.
Bud Light,
Miller
Miller
Lite.
Light.
Yeah. Although I did have.
I know
Coors
it
Light.
ends with a light, so.
Yeah, it does end with a light.
I said beer
Stoplight. You
balls.
win. You win. But yours is easy. Yours is primarily a tequila and soda, and sometimes wine. Yeah.
Yes, but the tequila soda has to be with a lot of lime. Squeeze fresh lime.
All holding up 1-1.
Yeah.
You're in Australia. We actually named that
baby.
drink. We have to name that drink after one of our bosses because everybody on our crew drinks a tequila and soda. What's the next one?
Yeah. Favorite movie. Yours would be P.S. I Love You or The Holiday.
Oh,
Probably The Holiday.
You're so close. Yeah. No, I love both of them. Love Actually would be it.
Love Actually, that's it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
What is your actual favorite movie?
I would say, oh, that's tough. It's between Top Gun and like what's that one with what's his name?
You can't either. You can't think.
Morgan Freeman. No, I just like it just completely.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Yes.
Yeah, that's a close second in anybody's category.
Okay, all right. Favorite hobby. You mowing the lawn.
You actually get a point for that because it would be between that and making pizza. And you know how much I love making pizza. I don't know your hobbies. I would say singing in the shower or in the car.
Sure. Yeah. Cooking. Yeah. Cooking or singing. Yeah.
Do you actually cook?
Sure.
I thought you had people to do that. I thought you had chefs and shit.
This is my favorite one of all of our 5 questions.
Oh, your hall pass.
Hall pass.
Your turn first.
I feel like yours would be Charlize Theron.
No, close though.
Or
you're not that far.
Or like Scarlett Johansson.
No, think Madam President.
Oh, that's right. What's her name?
Tia Leone.
Tia Leone,
the hottest woman, the hottest woman next to Karen that God ever created. Yes. And she's a golfer.
What about? Is she?
Yeah, she loves golf. What's yours?
Let's get her on to live. No, you have to guess. That's how this game works.
Oh, guess your hall pass.
It's so easy. It's so easy. I'll give you a hint. Okay. He's on like coffee advertisement. He has his own tequila company.
Everybody has their own tequila company.
He's very, very, very charming.
Mark Wahlberg?
He's way above my age.
Oh, well, Sammy Hagar?
No.
George Clooney. Thank you.
I would say if let's say like George Clooney isn't available, I'll probably go like Chris Hemsworth.
And Su-Ann is the hall pass of about every single spectator in Australia, male spectator in Australia.
Not true. No,
it's absolutely true. I saw it. I would look out the back of my window and I'd see you getting always people pulling you away.
Not true. What window?
Yes, so true.
The
window of our booth that the people were sitting on top of during the playoff.
That was so epic.
I know, that was awesome.
Arlo's like, looks like we've got some neighbors.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's a wrap for this episode. I hope you had a great time. Thanks for joining us. If you love our podcast, please do subscribe, and you can find us wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify. Do like us, do subscribe. We do have our own YouTube channel, Fairway to Heaven, and our own social channels as well at FTH_LIV Golf. We do have Blandy next week, so reach out to us, DM us, let us know what you want to ask Richard Bland. We can't wait to have Blandemonium on the pod. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. So I'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
See you, girl. Take care.